Right now, you can walk into your kitchen, turn a handle, and drink water without thinking about it. Clear water comes out of the wall. You do not know where it came from or how many pipes it passed through before it reached your glass. And most of the time, that is fine. But for almost all of human history, water was not something that politely arrived in your house. Water was a place, a river, a spring, a muddy pool, a hole in the ground, a stream with animal tracks around it. And if you were thirsty, you walked to it. So here is the question that sounds simple until you really think about it. Did ancient humans drink dirty water, not medieval people with wells? Not Romans with aqueducts, not farmers living beside villages. We are going further back than that. Back before plumbing, before metal pots, before anyone knew what bacteria were. Back to a world where one drink of water could keep you alive, or quietly kill you from the inside. The answer is yes, but not in the way you think. Ancient humans did not walk around happily drinking swamp water like it was a smoothie. They were watching everything. They knew which water smelled wrong. They knew which pools animals avoided. They knew which streams dried up, which springs kept flowing, and which places made people sick. They did not know about germs, but they absolutely knew about consequences. If everyone drinks from one muddy pool and 3 people spend the next 2 days vomiting, you do not need a microscope. You remember the pool. You warn children away from it. You tell the story again. That is how knowledge worked before writing. But here is the problem. Sometimes there was nowhere else. If you are living in a dry landscape, water decides everything. You can go hungry for a while. You cannot go without water for long. So ancient humans followed water. They camped near it. They remembered it. They moved from one known source to another. A spring was not just a spring. It was a survival landmark. And because water was so important, every other living thing wanted it too. Imagine walking to a waterhole at dawn. The mud is covered in prints. Deer, wild horses, boar, predators, birds, insects, everything came here before you. Something died near the bank. Something defecated upstream. Something stepped into the water with infected feet. To a modern person, this sounds horrifying. To an ancient human, it was Tuesday. You looked for moving water. You preferred springs over stagnant pools. You watched whether the water smelled rotten, whether dead animals were nearby, whether the mud was fresh with tracks. You learned the difference between water that looked bad and water that was bad. And sometimes you were wrong. This is the terrifying part. The most dangerous water does not always look dangerous. A clear stream can carry parasites. A cold spring can carry bacteria. Water can look clean and still be filled with things too small for any human eye to see. For ancient people, sickness from water would have felt almost supernatural. You drink, nothing happens. Hours later, or days later, your stomach twists. You become weak. You cannot walk far. You lose water faster than you can replace it. And in a world without hospitals, dehydration can kill you. This is one reason fire mattered so much. Fire did not just cook meat and keep predators away. Fire changed the relationship between humans and water. If you can heat water, you can make some dangerous water safer. For a long time, people assumed ancient humans could not boil water until they invented pottery. After all, how do you boil water without a pot? You cannot put water directly into a fire. You cannot hold it in your hands. So the obvious answer was that early humans probably did not boil much water. But that answer may be too simple. You can boil water in things that burn. That sounds impossible, but it is not. As long as a hide bag, bark container, wooden bowl, or hollowed object is filled with water, the water absorbs the heat and keeps the container from reaching the temperature where it catches fire. You can also heat stones in a fire, then drop them into water. The stones hiss, steam rises. The water heats without the container touching the flame. This is called stone boiling. Some of the direct evidence is much later than the first humans, but the method itself is simple enough that people may have used versions of it with perishable containers that did not survive in the archaeological record, because that is one of the big problems with ancient water. The most important tools may have disappeared. Animal skins rot, bark rots. Wooden containers rot. Leaves rot. Woven baskets rot. Stone tools survive. So archaeology can make the Stone Age look more stone-filled than it really was. But ancient life was full of soft materials, hide bags, plant fibers, shells, wooden troughs, things that held water and then vanished from the ground. So when we ask, how did ancient humans drink water? We are partly asking a question about missing evidence. They almost certainly drank directly from rivers and springs. They probably carried water in skins or natural containers. They may have boiled water sometimes when they had the time, fuel, containers, and reason. But did they boil every drink? Almost certainly not. That is the part modern people get wrong. We imagine safety as a rule. Ancient humans lived by odds. Is this water better than that water? Is the stream moving? Is the pool fresh? Did rain just wash filth into it? Did someone get sick here last season? Can we afford to stop and boil it? Survival was not about making everything safe. It was about making the least bad choice before the sun went down. But once humans became more settled, the water problem got worse. This is the twist. Hunter. Gatherers were exposed to natural water hazards, but they were also mobile. They moved. Their camps were smaller. Waste did not build up in the same way. Then agriculture arrived. People stayed in one place. More bodies lived closer together. Animals were kept nearby. Human waste, animal waste, and drinking water all began sharing the same landscape. The village made food more predictable. It also made water more dangerous. A small group drinking from a moving stream is one kind of risk. A crowded settlement with wells, livestock waste pits, and runoff is another. This is why the history of civilization is also the history of trying to keep waste out of drinking water. That sentence sounds simple, but it is one of the deepest engineering problems humans ever faced. Clean water is not natural in a crowded human world. It has to be created. But for most of our story, people were figuring this out without seeing the enemy. They could see mud. They could smell rot. They could notice sickness. But they could not see the organisms doing the damage. So they explained water through taste, smell, spirits, purity, luck, and inherited rules. Some of those rules were wrong. Some were accidentally brilliant. Avoid stagnant water. Prefer water that flows. Boil water when someone is sick. Do not drink downstream from waste. These are not modern laboratory ideas. They are observations any careful human group could discover painfully over generations. And humans are very good at remembering pain. Still, we should not turn ancient people into wilderness superheroes. Many got sick. Many children died. Parasites were normal. Stomach infections were normal. Bad water was part of the background danger of being alive. Ancient humans did not live in perfect harmony with nature. Nature was not a wellness retreat. Nature was beautiful, useful, and constantly trying to get inside your body. The water that saved you could also carry the thing that killed you. That is what makes clean water so strange. Modern clean water feels boring because it works. It has no drama, no smell, no mud, no visible danger. You turn the tap, fill a glass, drink it, and nothing happens. That nothing is one of the greatest achievements in human history. Wells, sewers, pipes, filters, and people whose names you will never know. Your ancestors would have understood the miracle immediately, not the chemistry, the freedom. Because if water comes to you clean, you do not have to spend your morning finding it. You do not have to worry whether something died upstream. Clean water gives you time. It gives you distance from fear. It makes thirst ordinary. And that may be why we forget how strange it is. So yes, ancient humans drank dirty water. They drank water with mud in it, water shared with animals, water pulled from holes in the ground, water that looked safe and was not. But they also learned they chose moving water when they could. They watched animals, they avoided rot, they followed springs. They carried water, they heated stones, they used fire, they remembered who got sick. They survived, not because the water was clean, but because they became experts in a world where clean was rare. And now you live in the opposite world. You are surrounded by water so clean that you barely notice it. You use drinking water to wash plates, flush toilets, and stand half awake in a hot shower while thinking about emails. You live with a luxury so complete it has become invisible. For most of human history, thirst moved people across landscapes. Today, water waits behind a handle. Your ancestors had to know the river. You only have to know which cup is yours. And maybe that is the real answer. Ancient humans did drink dirty water, but they did not take water for granted. We drink clean water every day, and somehow we do.